So hello and good evening. I'm gonna do some stand-up for you now because I'm trying to get famous like that. And as far as I know, it's one of the easier ways to become famous. Like, people do stand-up and they become famous. No one ever becomes famous, ever, by building 10,000 snowmen, for example. You don't believe me? Ask Jürgen Juspalain.
Who?
Who? Exactly. I would like to dedicate my performance tonight to my grandfather, it's the anniversary of his death today, and he passed away 27 years ago. It was a tragic accident. He stepped on a landmine, and he was really unlucky because he stepped on that landmine like less than a second before it exploded. So, talk about bad luck. I've been quite lucky in life. I have a lot of friends. I'm good at making friends, actually. Like the last best friend that I made, it was very easy. I just met this guy. We started talking, and he said that if there's one thing I love in life, it's repetition. And I was like, you can say that again. Coming back to my grandfather, it is really strange that he died under such unfortunate circumstances because he was actually really always very safety conscious. You know, he was always telling other people how to stay safe. I remember one time, me and my three brothers, we went hiking in the mountains, and there was a thunderstorm coming up. So there was a lightning storm coming up. My grandfather was like, "You boys, you better only take plastic utensils, plastic forks, plastic cups, plastic garbage, so that you don't draw lightning strikes to you." And we did, and it was really useful advice, because we did get caught in the lightning storm, and fortunately I had a plastic shovel, so you know, I had something to dig graves with when my brothers were killed by lightning. So that was my grandfather, and my grandmother wasn't quite that helpful or nice or positive. I remember one time I told her, "Grandma, I am going to write a book about children fighting aliens with spoons and hairdryers." And my grandmother said, "That's not very realistic." And I was like, "Yeah, it's like a sci-fi comedy." And she said, "No, I mean you writing a book." But there were good things about my grandmother. She had this thing where she was a drunk, and she had a very good argument for being a drunk, and she expressed it in haiku form. She was quite talented. So whenever people asked her about, you know, "Why do you drink so much? This sucks, you know," she was like, "Nope, this is lovely. You're mistaken." And then she would present her haiku, right, which went like, "Alcoholics have ruined the rep of us drunks. That is just too sad." Gifted lady. That wasn't the only wonderful thing my grandmother did. She opened a restaurant, and she had exactly. She opened a restaurant, and she really wanted to prank the entire town. And she succeeded, because day after day, people who visited our town, they saw in the distance my grandmother's restaurant, and they said, "Look, that restaurant over there, it's just named F, and it's a 5-star restaurant." And then they made it to the restaurant and realized it's not a 5-star restaurant named F. It's a 0-star restaurant named F that had been forced to censor their name. Okay, enough about my relatives. My friends, back to my friends. I used to have a really big circle of friends, but it was destroyed by a love triangle, so, you know, what a bunch of squares. Sometime after that, I remember I was maybe 13, 14. I asked my grandmother, you know, "Can I go and jump back and forth and up and down at the local graveyard. And my grandmother said, "Over my dead body." And I said, "Yes." I've been lucky in life with friends, you know. I have so many friends. And I think a part of that is that I'm not at all judgmental. I'm only judgmental when I have, like, solid reasons to be judgmental. For example, one of my neighbors, he actually grew up as a child laborer working in a sweatshop in Asia. He was able to escape, and he moved to my home country and bought a house. And then, I don't remember why, but one day I just told him, "You know, you are a prick. You suck, man." And he was like, "How dare you judge me? I used to work in a sweatshop making footwear." And I was like, "Well, I can judge you because I'm pretty sure I've walked a mile in your shoes." He didn't really have a response to that, but he was still better than my other neighbors. My other neighbor had 14 kids, and they were really loud and annoying. So one morning I was like, "I've had enough of this." You know, the kids are screaming, running around, playing catch, playing Monopoly. I've had enough of this crap. Like, I made a plan to castrate that neighbor. I wasn't quite able to pull it off. Later that day, I had a huge argument with my wife. And eventually, she was like, "You're sleeping on the couch tonight." And that made me really happy, because if the couch was free, that meant she'd finally kicked out her boyfriend. Yeah, I slept really well that night. I slept so well, next morning I was like, what if I start making these fake stand-up videos with a green screen? I woke up with fresh ideas. So I went to the local store, the local green screen store, and there was a frog. The owner of the shop was a frog. I had never seen a frog be the owner of a green screen shop before. So I took out, you know, some money, took out some of my greens, and I told the frog, "Show me the best green screen you have and demonstrate the chroma key." So what the frog did, he took my money, and then he used the chroma key effect, and suddenly the frog and the money disappeared. What a scam. Yeah, dreams are a complicated thing. Even some of the most wealthy people in the world, they can't always make their dreams come true. Like, take Jeffrey Bezos, right? He's trying to challenge NASA in the space race. And that's foolish. That's a foolish dream. NASA has already demonstrated what happens to challengers. Yeah, that was dark, but I love dark humor, you know? I don't understand people who don't. But a lot of people do get upset at dark humor, at jokes about death. This is a fact. It doesn't matter what room I'm in. Whenever I make like a really dark joke about death, there's always at least one person in that room. Well, you've been a lovely audience, but I have to go now, and I'll leave you with this bit of wisdom. If you're going to perform, make sure you have like a powerful conclusion, because there's nothing more annoying than when people don't finish their performances